All right, welcome back to another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today, we're going to be doing some updates on the injury report. First iteration came out yesterday on Wednesday night, and it was looking kind of hopeful for Oklahoma. Today, Thursday night, things are looking up, especially in the wide receiver room. So, we're going to talk about that. A little bit about the running backs because there were some additions there this week in the running back room on the injury report, and some injury updates for Missouri because they're also dealing with some key players potentially being out. Before we get into everything, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about what's going to come for Oklahoma this weekend. If you think they have a good chance of winning, Vegas obviously does. The odds have changed quite a bit in their favor. So make sure to hit the comment section to share your opinion. All right. So let's start with the good news because it feels like it's been a long time coming for Oklahoma. Dion Burks, Jalil Farouk, which I think might be the more surprising one, are both listed as probable going into this weekend in Oklahoma's game against Missouri. As many people know at this point, Oklahoma's been out their top five wide receivers. Getting Dion Burks back is obviously going to be huge, but I think the guy that's really going to be more impactful is going to be Jalil Farouk. Brandon, obviously great news for Oklahoma. Do you think that this is going to make that big of a difference for this offense? And if so, how?
I mean, first of all, you still have to be able to protect the quarterback, so that's still going to be a concern. Because our last two SEC games we gave up 10 sacks each, so this is another SEC game. It's not Maine anymore, so hopefully you can protect a little bit. But I do think you'll be able to get the ball out a little bit faster. I think guys will be open a little faster now too, with obviously having Burks and Joel Frug out there. I'm going to assume they're going to play. It looks probable on the injury report. And if you watched what Jackson Arnold said earlier this week, where he literally said we're getting two of our studs back this week. So I mean, I think Oklahoma is going forward with them in the game plan, thinking that they're going to be out there. I mean, Jackson Arnold pretty much said it. So I think, I definitely think it doesn't hurt. You have 40% of your receiving core now versus zero, 2/5 there. So I think we'll have. I think it opens everything up for the run game. It opens up for other receivers. It's going to be. It should make the offense maybe at least a touchdown or 10 points better, which that could be the difference in a lot of games here. I am curious to see why you have Jalil Farouk as more impactful. I think Jalil Farouk is a great player, but Jackson got to play with Deion Burks a little bit this season, so he has some sort of chemistry and rapport with him. Where really he only threw the ball to Farouk one time, and granted it was a perfect throw on a deep ball, but like that's really all they have.
Yeah, so reason I think that Farouk's going to be the more impactful one is because of how long that they've gotten to build some sort of chemistry. Deion Brooks came in what summertime? I he was a transfer in the winter portal, so maybe he's been since January, which quite a bit of time, almost a year, calendar year that he's been at Oklahoma. But Dylan Farouk's been there for years now. He's can kind of be the leader, which is something that this offense has really missed all season. Jackson Arnold is obviously the leader because he's the quarterback. It's kind of the automatic guy to be seen as the leader for an offense, which makes sense. But you need someone out there to help, maybe be a more vocal leader or leader by example in practice. And Jalil Farouk is the guy with seniority in this entire offense, really. I mean, if you look at the entire unit, I don't think there's anyone more experienced, tenured at Oklahoma. I mean, maybe Troy Everett, but even still, Jalil Farouk's been around since the year before, at least in Oklahoma, right? So that's my reasoning, and he can. A lot of people kind of have some bad feelings towards him for some reason because of the drop ball situation, some fumbles, mainly in the bowl game. I think at this point it's way in the past. He's probably one of the more impactful players because of that leadership role, and he can extend the field. If that foot is 80%, I would hope it's 100 since he's been recovering, and it seems like it's probably more of a make sure he's comfortable back in football shape. If he's 100% going into this game, which I would expect he is, he's going to be stretching the field for Oklahoma and someone that has shown to be able to create separation, which is something we haven't seen a ton of with this wide receiver room. I think Deion Burks can be just as impactful. It's just that leadership part is something that I think Oklahoma's been missing all season, where he can be the guy to step in now that he's back and not having to deal with rehab, recovery, you know, having probably to deal with the medical staff for the last 6 weeks up until a couple weeks ago when he got out of the boot, right? So, but Deion Burks, he's probably going to be uh, your yak guy, yards after catch, short stuff. Get hopefully 6 yards. Make sure you're keeping everything in second and short, third and manageable. As long as you don't get behind in your on downs, third and long is going to be the biggest test here. Ideally, you're never in that situation, but even though these guys may impact Oklahoma a lot offensively, I think there's a good chance that Oklahoma is going to first face a few third and longs, and that's going to be interesting because, like you said, at the end of the day, we can have Justin Jefferson and C.D. Lamb out there, but if this offensive line can't put something together to help protect Jackson Arnold, it's not going to matter.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. But I think you brought up a good point with, his foot being 80%, 85, 90%, maybe, who knows, hopefully 100%. That's what we all hope. But regardless, Burks hasn't played since the Tennessee game, which is late September, about a month and a half ago now. Farouk hasn't played since August 30th, that Temple game. So he's really out, September to almost 3 months, 2.5-ish months. So, I'm very curious to see what kind of football shape they'll be in, and if they'll be on some sort of snap count. I hope to see them not on a snap count, but I would assume they might be. If it's the first quarter and it's 0-0, you just pick up a couple first downs. They might miss that series right there until another first down is picked up or something. I don't know. Curious to see how that works out. But I mean, I think it's exciting, and if we're excited, you can just imagine how excited Jackson Arnold is, and he's going to be confident in whoever they have out there because he's the quarterback. But there's got to be some part of him where he's like, man, I got some dudes now, and if they can, I think if they could be 10 points better, a touchdown and a field goal, because they did score 14 against Ole Miss, so the offensive line is still an issue, but you have two good receivers back, open the pass game, open the run game, get 10 points better, score 24. The defense sets you up for another field goal or two. And then you're at 30. And then, I mean, you've got a really good shot to beat not only Mizzou, but who knows? Go steal the Bama or LSU game.
And those two games for Bama and LSU are going to be pivotal for their chances at a playoff spot. I mean, again, looking more into the offense, we talked about the wide receivers, but there's also a couple running backs on this injury report. Javante Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk. Gavin's been on there for a couple weeks now, so progressing through his injury rehab. This is the first time Javante's been on the injury report all season. I believe he tweaked his ankle in the first quarter in last week's game, but he kept playing, which is interesting. If he did tweak it and it's something that he didn't have to rely on a lot, it's weird that he's now on the injury report after playing Maine. If it was that bad, why not sit him? Hindsight's kind of 2020 on those situations, so you never really know. Maybe started swelling up a little bit on him after the game, adrenaline, him being warm still, could have kept it from being a big pain issue and pain tolerance thing on Saturday. If he can come back, this running back room is going to be much improved. The running game can probably be much improved because now you have to spread this defense out. They don't just get to stay, pretty tight up to the line, right? They have to try to cover the wide receivers. These are proven guys that can make plays, create space, get into open space, and get the ball and go. If a third wide receiver can somehow step up, which we really haven't seen, so I'm not that hopeful, but if they somehow figure something out as the wide receiver 3, then that makes this offense that much more dangerous. If there is no Javante Barnes, though, Taylor Tatum's going to need to have a big game, and he's got to figure out his fumble issues. Because if he's the lead guy, it's going to be tough if we keep seeing him put the ball on the ground.
We've also had wide receivers 6 through 9, 10, 11, trying to be ones and twos. So it should be a little easier out there being a third option to fourth option. For some guys, I imagine it goes, Burks and Fruit, which is obviously your 1 and 2. And then, I don't know, is Brennan Thompson playing slot? Is it going to be Hester? I think I'd like to see Hester. I think he's the one who's proven himself the most out of what we've had. And that's not saying much. He's made a couple big plays. He made the big play against Maine, and he made the big play that set up the score in the Auburn game. So, he's got that going for him. So I think I'd like to see Hester. Now, back to the running backs. I do think it's interesting to see Javonte Barnes out there because, I think that's where he did tweak is like the first or, early in that main game. And then he proceeded to run wild and it didn't look like it was, affecting his game at all. So to see him on there is a bit interesting, but I think just because of that, I would expect to see him out there. I think we'll find out more on Saturday, obviously, whenever they are warming up and all that stuff. But I do think you see Javonte Barnes, and it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, overall for the Oklahoma side, you don't have too many other big injuries. Michael Tarquin, he's quite listed as questionable right now. Ideally, he comes back. He is at this point one of the more reliable guys on the offensive line. Love it or hate it, for better or worse, that is what he has been. So if he can come back, that should help with some of the offensive line issues. PJ Adebawore listed as questionable. He did tweak his ankle in the second half of the main game. He seemed to be in a lot of pain right after the injury happened, so I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't travel or at least doesn't play just because of that. He has a lot of potential, but he hasn't played a ton this season, and I think you can supplement his play for a week just to let him rest and recover because you do have a bye week coming up. So if you think that you have someone that can kind of come in for a week, take his place in some of his snaps. I mean, Trace Ford has done a good job this year, so why not give him a few more snaps this week if PJ can't go? Let PJ rest for a couple weeks, have him ready for the Alabama game because you're going to need as many big bodies as possible against that offensive line. Joshua Bates, again, a guy that has a lot of promise in his future, but has only really played when the offensive line has had injuries, especially in the interior. Jake Sexton will not be back. Jake Taylor will not be back. Honestly, I'm pretty sure it's already been almost but confirmed Jake Sexton likely not back for this season. Jake Taylor, I don't know if we've heard too much about his injury. If anything's been reported, I clearly missed it, but him being kind of surprisingly out 1 week and then hasn't really been listed as even doubtful or questionable. He's just been straight up out. I doubt he comes back for the rest of the year as well. On the other side of the ball, good things for Oklahoma. Obviously, we don't hope for injuries, but when you look at it, the game plan and what Oklahoma needs to prepare for defensively, it does take a little bit more stress off of this defense. Nate Noel and Brady Cook both listed as questionable. They are at home, so they do get a little bit more time to relax and recover. They don't need to make any sort of travel, so I think for them you really have to look at Friday's, tomorrow's injury report, see how they're listed. Brady Cook, though, I think that one, like you guys heard from our guests in our last video, Eli Drinkwitz doesn't want to divulge too much. This injury report is kind of it. Not going to elaborate anymore, but it wouldn't surprise me if this questionable tag downgrades to doubtful. Nate Noel, on the other hand, if he can go at all for them, I think they're going to try to push it because that's going to be their best chance at winning is him and their second running back just being able to carry this team on their backs and tire Oklahoma's defense.
Yeah, coaches don't want to say it, and it makes total sense. If I was Missouri's coach, I wouldn't want to say it either. If I was anybody's coach, I wouldn't want to say it either. Like the true nature of the injury. If there's a chance he can go, I'm listing anybody as questionable because I think you can leave him as questionable the whole week. I don't think you ever have to downgrade them. I don't think there's any rules or anything that make you downgrade because questionable is questionable. That it's 50-50, I guess. And by leaving him questionable, Oklahoma now has to prepare for two quarterbacks. Missouri knows if he's. I feel like at this point, Thursday night when we're recording, they have one more day tomorrow of full preparation and obviously Saturday. But I feel like Missouri probably has 75-80% knowledge or whatever of if he's going to go. They're feeling pretty good about if he's going or not going and how to game plan from there. I kind of agree with you. I hope he does go just because, you want to beat teams at as close to full strength as possible. It's never fun to beat up on somebody when they're super injured and act cool about it. I know a lot of teams that beat Oklahoma they're good teams, but we're a shell of Oklahoma right now, and I don't want because especially in a game like this, Missouri, where we have a long pass and a rivalry and whatever. It's not a true rivalry just because I think I'm one of the people who think it has to be close to be considered a rivalry. Really, what happened is we played a bunch of times and we beat the shit out of them a bunch of times, and that's what people call a rivalry because we played so many times. Same thing with Oklahoma State. But either way, people do consider it a rivalry somewhere, and I don't want Missouri fans to be like, man, they only beat us because Brady Cook didn't play or, stuff like that, even though, I think there's really nobody that can play that card against Oklahoma. I would wager that nobody is as hurt as Oklahoma is probably in the entire country, even if Farouk and Burke 100% do play on Saturday.
Yeah, it'd be tough to me to be more impacted from injuries than Oklahoma, but I'm sure there is somewhere out there. The other thing, I guess, good news for Mizzou, Caden Green is listed as probable. There has been apparently some issues with him fully integrating into this offense and being as impactful as he was last year at Oklahoma as a true freshman, but another big body, a guy that they expect to be impactful for their offensive line in protecting either Brady Cook or Drew Pine. If it's Brady Cook, he's probably going to need just as much, if not more, protection than Drew Pine, just because Drew's at least almost 100% healthy, if not 100% healthy, while Brady would be recovering from injury. You want to keep him as upright as possible. So if Brady's going to go, he's going to hope that Caden Green is as close to 100% as possible, just for his sake, because this offensive or defensive line for Oklahoma has been very good. And while they haven't been the best at getting to the quarterback and getting that sack stat, they are putting a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. And any quarterback under pressure can be broken, can get hurt, just turn the ball over. So he's going to need every bit of help as possible if they have a chance at winning. Really, either quarterback, but it seems like Brady Cook, you don't want to get your starting quarterback. Your key to winning hurt, in the first quarter or second quarter when there's still a lot of game left. You're muted. There you go. There you go.
Sorry, yeah. I feel like even if Brady Cook does go, I feel like it'll be similar to, that Quinn Ewers effect. He came back in the Oklahoma game, and don't get me wrong, the score is ugly, 49-3 or whatever the hell, 31-43, I don't remember the score. It was bad. But, Quinn Ewers was not that sharp. He threw a pick. He was it's just kind of rusty, and I think Oklahoma's offense really set up most of the success for Texas's offense in that game. I think you avoid that. I don't think Missouri is nearly as deep as Texas is. So I think if Brady Cook is a little bit rusty and a little bit, off his game, I think even with him out there, I feel like I still like Oklahoma's shot, regardless of who's playing quarterback for the Tigers on Saturday.
100%. This is the game that Oklahoma needs to win and has the best shot at winning to continue the bowl eligibility streak, get your sixth win, not have a losing season. You're at the very least going to be a 500 team through the regular season. Get this one, then play spoiler in the last 2 weeks, and hopefully you can crawl to 7 wins. Ideally in a perfect world we're at 8, but it's going to be an uphill battle to get there.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is your best shot. That being said, you can win the other two. We'll see. You still got to play the game. But it'd be awesome to win. Get to like just for everything you said, to keep that streak alive is huge. That's something to be proud of. No matter how bad or how the season's not what we want it to be, but to preserve a streak like that, longest streak I believe in the country is what they said in the main game. That's a pretty cool streak. It's still something to be proud of, especially in a year where you're so beat up and so it's just not what we wanted. So if you can get to 6 wins here, 6-4, no matter what happens the rest of the way, you can lose 55-0. Obviously that would be miserable, but if you do, you're still bowl eligible. You're 6-6, and then you kind of focus on next year. But I don't know. I'm really excited for this game on Saturday.
For sure, it's gonna be a fun one. I think that's it for this video. A lot of things that could go in Oklahoma's favor with how the injuries are progressing and hopefully getting better, putting up most of a healthy roster offensively. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Make the comment section is huge. We love getting to talk to you guys on there, so make sure to share your thoughts. Turn on the notification bell. Follow us on everything linked down in the description below. We appreciate y'all. We'll see you next time.